Rihanna's shooter had a warning sent straight to her own husband the day before bullets tore through that gate, and he said nothing. He did nothing. The man she was married to just broke his silence, and what he revealed has the entire internet asking one question: who actually knew what was about to happen? Everybody thought they had this case figured out. Unhinged woman, obsessed fan, psychotic break, clean and simple. That was the version, that was the headline, that was what made people shake their heads and scroll past. Disturbed woman loses her grip on reality, drives across the country, and fires an AR-15 at one of the most famous women on the planet. Sad, scary, done. But it's not done, because the estranged husband of the suspect, Ivana Ortiz, just filed court documents, and buried inside those documents is an email, a direct message sent to him weeks before this ever happened. And that single email rips the lid off everything we thought we understood. Because now the question isn't just about one woman and her mental state. The question is about everybody around her, what they saw, what they read, what they ignored, and why this woman was still walking free, still had custody of a child, still had a job, still had access to the outside world, while allegedly spiraling into something this dangerous. The whole narrative is cracking wide open, and we need to talk about it. Let me break this down piece by piece, because the details in this case don't just raise red flags, they raise sirens. First, the email. According to the court filing, Ivana Ortiz allegedly sent her estranged husband, Jed Valdez, an email on January 26th. In the wording, listen to this, it reportedly reads, "I need you to renounce Rihanna and confess that I'm better than her. Let it be done. You gotta let me know so that door can be closed." Read that again. Renounce Rihanna. Confess that I'm better than her. Let it be done. That is not a throwaway text from somebody venting. That is an ultimatum. That is somebody drawing a line in the sand and telling another human being to pick a side. And what did he do with that information? According to him, he found out about the shooting the next day, Monday, after it already happened, after calls started flooding in, after news agencies started reaching out to him for comment. Now let me be very clear, nobody is accusing this man of anything, but the internet is asking a very fair question. You received an email like that weeks before the incident with a woman you were married to, a woman you share a child with, and you didn't think to flag that for anybody? You didn't call someone? You didn't think that was a little off? And here's where it gets layered. This wasn't the only sign. Because if you go back and look at what was already publicly available about Ivana Ortiz before any of this happened, there were breadcrumbs everywhere. Online detectives have been combing through every corner of the internet, and what they've pulled up is unsettling. There were tweets, there were social media posts, people are saying there were YouTube videos, ministry-style gospel content where the tone allegedly shifted into something darker over time. Folks online have been screenshotting everything, archiving pages, pulling metadata, running timelines, and the picture they're painting is not a woman who snapped overnight. It's a woman who allegedly showed signs for weeks, maybe months, publicly, on platforms anyone could see. So the question the internet keeps slamming on every comment section and every forum is this: how did nobody see it? She had a job. She was a speech therapist. She reportedly had custody of her child, or at the very least, the child was living with her. She had family, she had friends, she had colleagues. And you're telling me not one of those people saw a single post? Not one of them read a single tweet? Not one of them received a text message that made them stop and say, wait, something's wrong? Because if she was sending messages like that to her estranged husband, people online are saying there's almost zero chance she wasn't sending similar energy to other people in her life. That's how this works. When someone is spiraling, they don't typically confine it to one person. They broadcast, they escalate, they reach out. And every single person around her apparently either missed it or looked the other way. Now here's the other piece of evidence that has people going absolutely feral online: the braids. This might sound small, it might sound petty, but hear me out, because there's a real logic to this that the internet picked up on immediately. When she was identified, people noticed she had box braids, And if you know anything about box braids, you know those are not a spur-of-the-moment decision. That's a 6 to 10-hour commitment in somebody's chair. That's a planned, deliberate, sit-down-and-get-it-done kind of choice. And the internet's theory? She got those braids because she knew she was going somewhere. She knew what was coming. People get box braids before vacations, before labor, before any extended period where they can't manage their hair. And online, folks are pointing out that she may have gotten them done so she'd look put together for her arraignment, for the cameras, for whatever came after. Now, could it have been a wig? Sure, some people are raising that possibility. But even then, as folks online joked, if that lace was laid properly, that still took preparation, that still took intention, that still required someone sitting in front of a mirror, making choices, planning ahead. And that does not square with the narrative of a woman in the grips of an uncontrollable psychotic episode who didn't know what she was doing. That's calculated, that's premeditated, and the internet sees it. Now, let's get into the motive, because this is where the entire thing starts clicking into focus, and also where it starts making even less sense at the same time. From what's been reported, Ivana Ortiz was a speech therapist living in Florida. She had a child, she had a husband she was separated from. By all surface-level appearances, she was a functioning member of society, employed, parenting, living her life. But beneath that surface, something was reportedly fracturing. The email to her husband makes one thing very clear. Rihanna wasn't just a name to this woman. Rihanna was allegedly an obsession, a fixation, a measuring stick she was using to evaluate her own worth, her own marriage, her own existence. Confess that I'm better than her. Think about that sentence. Really sit with it. That is a person who has reportedly taken one of the biggest pop stars on the planet and made her a personal rival. Not a celebrity on a screen, not a voice on a playlist, a direct threat to her identity, to her relationship, to the sense of self. And the husband angle makes it even more complicated, because the internet is asking, why was Rihanna's music even a factor in this marriage? What was happening behind closed doors that made this woman feel like she was competing with a global icon for her own husband's attention? Nobody's blaming him, let's be real clear about that, but the curiosity is valid. Were comments made? Was an inside joke that went too far? Was Rihanna's name mentioned one too many times in passing, and it latched on to something unstable? Because obsessions like this reportedly don't come from nowhere. They start with a seed. Something plants it, something waters it, and then one day, it's the only thing growing. And while that seed was growing, here's what was also reportedly happening. She was still going to work. She was still raising a child. She was still posting on social media. She was still making YouTube videos. She was still texting people. She was still existing in the world as if everything was fine. And that duality is what's haunting people online. Because we want to believe that when someone is this far gone, there are obvious warning signs, alarms blaring, red lights flashing. We want to believe the system catches it. But allegedly, nobody caught it. Now, let's talk about the logistics, because this is where the story goes from disturbing to genuinely baffling. She reportedly lived in Florida. The shooting happened in Los Angeles. That means she allegedly crossed the entire country to get there. She flew, she traveled, she moved through airports and security checkpoints, and rental car counters and hotel lobbies. And at some point along the way, she allegedly acquired an AR-15. Where did she get it? Who sold it to her? Was it purchased in Florida before she left? Was it obtained in California? Because California has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, and the internet is absolutely losing its mind trying to figure out how a woman allegedly in the middle of a psychological crisis managed to secure that kind of firepower. And then there's the child. She reportedly had a kid, and if she flew across the country to carry out this alleged attack, who was watching that child? Did she arrange childcare? Did she tell someone she was going on a trip? Did she call out of work? Because every single one of those steps requires planning, forethought, organization, the ability to manage logistics under pressure.
And every single one of those steps chips away at the idea that this was a woman who simply lost control of her mind and acted impulsively. The internet sees the contradiction, and the internet is not letting it go. But it gets even wilder, because the police report allegedly describes the vehicle involved as having tinted windows and a paper license plate. A paper license plate. That's not standard. That's not normal. That's the kind of thing you see when someone is deliberately trying to avoid being identified. And then there's the detail about the undercarriage. Reports say the car had a dirty undercarriage, which people online have interpreted as evidence of off-roading. Why would you be off-roading on the way to a shooting? Unless you were trying to avoid main roads, avoid cameras, avoid detection. Each detail by itself might mean nothing, but when you stack them all together, the internet is seeing a pattern that doesn't look like a mental health crisis. It looks like a mission. And then there's the passenger. According to police dispatch, there was allegedly a Hispanic male in the passenger seat, leaning out the window, involved in the shooting, a second person. If that dispatch is accurate, this was not a solo act. This was not one woman alone in her delusion. This was allegedly a coordinated effort involving at least 2 people. And the internet has one question about that passenger that nobody in an official capacity has answered yet. Where is he? Who is he? And why is nobody talking about him? But here's the part that really hits different. And I need you to sit with this one for a second, because this is the human cost of everything we just talked about. Rihanna was home. A$AP Rocky was home. And reportedly, the children were home. We're talking about a newborn, a baby girl that Rihanna had been waiting for, a child that's still in that phase of life where she needs her mother every few hours, feeding, holding, existing in the safety of her mother's arms. And bullets tore through that space. The police reportedly said it was a miracle that Rihanna and A$AP Rocky survived. A miracle. That's the word law enforcement allegedly used. Not fortunate, not lucky, a miracle. And the bullet patterns that investigators found on the property are not random. People online who've studied the images from news footage are pointing out what appears to be triangular groupings. 3 shots, tight cluster, then 3 more in the Airstream trailer where Rihanna and Rocky allegedly were. Folks who know firearms are saying online that kind of grouping doesn't happen by accident. That's not spray and pray. That's allegedly aimed, deliberate, targeted. And that Airstream trailer is not a bunker. It's not reinforced steel. It's a trailer, thin walls, glass, the kind of space you go to relax, to unwind, to spend a quiet moment with the person you love, and it became a target. Now think about the kids. Even if they weren't in the trailer, even if they were inside the main house, even if they were asleep in their rooms, they were there, on that property, within earshot of an AR-15 being unloaded at their home. Those children will grow up knowing that happened. That memory, that story, that trauma is now woven into the fabric of their childhood, whether they fully understand it yet or not. And then there's Ivana's child, a kid who was reportedly at school when another student told them what their mother had done. Think about that. You're a kid, you're at school, and another child walks up to you and tells you your mom just tried to hurt someone famous, and it's all over the news. The husband says he tried to hide it. He tried to protect his child from the story, but the world doesn't let you do that anymore. The news moves faster than a parent's best intentions, and that child reportedly found out from a classmate, not from a gentle conversation at the kitchen table, not from a therapist's office, from the playground. That child didn't ask for any of this, neither did Rihanna's children, and yet they're all carrying it now. This is what happens when the system fails, when signs get missed, when emails get read and forgotten, when posts get scrolled past, when nobody steps in. Real children end up in real pain over something that people online are saying might have been preventable. Now, this whole situation gets even crazier when you realize how many details straight up don't match. Reports say the suspect's car was a Tesla with tinted windows, paper plates, and a dirty undercarriage, like it had been off-roading or making a long trip. But here's what really made everybody sit up. There's something known as the Tesla Police Protocol. Tools law enforcement can allegedly use to remotely slow the car, locate it, access camera feeds. According to commentary circling online, police had eyes on that Tesla within minutes. Some say as fast as 3 minutes from when it pulled off. Why would you tail a car with an active shooter allegedly inside and just watch? And then there's this phantom passenger. Early reports, alleged dispatch audio, they reference a Hispanic male in the driver's seat or leaning out the window firing. Later on, that detail gets quiet. Online detectives started scrubbing freeze frames from helicopter angles. They claimed to see a second silhouette. They compared height differences. One Twitter thread even had a mock height overlay, saying the person firing looked taller than the suspect booked. None of that is official, but it shows you how deep people are digging. And honestly, let's talk about the justice system, because this bail situation, it's wild. Reports say her bail was set at around $1.8 million. Sounds big, but anybody who understands the system knows you typically put down around 5 to 10%. So online folks did the math. That's $90K to $180K. Meaning, if somebody has that money, she could allegedly walk, after allegedly firing off multiple rounds at one of the most famous women on the planet, and courts reportedly said she wasn't a public safety risk. People on TikTok were literally saying, wait, so she allegedly shot at a billionaire, but she's not a public safety threat? Meanwhile, my cousin is sitting in jail for months over a bar fight. That contrast hits a nerve. When her family stands up saying she needs help, she's been different since the crash, we love her. Some folks hear pain, others hear strategy. If she's found mentally unfit at the time of the incident, she might get a hospital, not a maximum security cell. And hospitals don't always hold you for life. And this story is still unfolding, with way bigger implications than just one incident. What we're seeing here is how dangerous the intersection of obsession, access, and denial really is. We live in a world where fans don't just watch celebrities, they study them. They imagine they know them. They attach spiritually, emotionally to someone who's never met them. Technology put everything on a map. You can find people's homes, routines, cars with just enough digging. Even when the red flags are flapping, family, friends often don't or can't step in until something explodes. The bigger conversation is about responsibility. Who's responsible when obsession turns dangerous? The individual? The family that downplayed it? The partner who got weird messages? A medical system that gatekeeps treatment? Police that watched a Tesla for 30 minutes instead of stopping it in 3? For anyone trying to be famous, trying to blow up on social media, this is a warning. The more your name grows, the more your risk grows. Not just from haters and comments, from people who quietly decide your existence is part of their spiritual storyline, their breakup, their delusion. Most will never act, but it only takes one. So where does that leave us? We've got a suspect who allegedly traveled, armed, and fired. A husband who claims he got a spiritual warning weeks before. A family leaning hard into she's mentally unwell. Police details that shift around a possible second shooter. Bail that feels strangely low. And a global superstar who had to flee her own home. Some people are convinced this was a calculated hit disguised as a fan attack. Others say this really was a severely unwell woman and the system failed to stop her. Both possibilities are terrifying. If it's a hit, someone with resources targeted one of the most protected women on the planet. If it's untreated mental illness, anyone with obsession and a car can get close to global icons. There are still huge unanswered questions. What exactly did she tell her husband? Was there actually a second person? Where did the weapon come from? Why didn't law enforcement stop the car sooner? Until those get answered clearly, people are going to continue filling in the gaps with their own theories. Stay locked in because this story is not done. More court docs are dropping. More leaks are surfacing. TMZ, Twitter, Reddit detectives are on this like a full-time job. If any new Tesla footage comes out, if dispatch audio gets leaked, if we get answers on that alleged second shooter, it's gonna flip this case again. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think this was really just one woman in a break from reality? Or do you think there's someone behind the scenes who handed her the tools and let her take the fall? Make sure you like this video, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update. We're covering every twist that comes out of this case. Stay safe out there, protect your peace, and remember, the internet will show you the story they want you to see, but it's on us to look at what's in the frame and what's missing just outside of it. I'll see you in the next one.